Well, welcome to DTLT today. We're really excited today because we were able to line up a special guest today. So we actually have a talk, and I hope I don't butcher this now. I'm going to try this. We have Antonio Vantaggiato. Is that the correct way of saying your
You
name?
butchered it.
Did I?
Yep.
It is. Hi.
It's
How's it going?
Vantaggiato.
Vantaggiato?
You gotta say it like an Italian, like you want a pizza. Like, give me a Vantaggiato.
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 Well, I do what I can. But anyway, unfortunately, both me and you were planning to go up to New York earlier this year in the summertime and to meet Antonio, and it fell through. But I hear that you had some awesome interviews and a great chance to work on this secret project of yours, and we're dying to know what this project is, what you're working on, and a little bit of information about it. So
Exactly.
tell us, man.
Come clean,
There you go.
Antonio. Come clean.
Okay, I'll try and come clean of it. First of all, thanks to have me today with you guys. And I've been there physically in Fredericksburg a couple of years ago, and I loved it. I was joking with Jim before, saying that you guys have a really splendid environment, and whatever you do, I mean, comes in a very, very innovative way. So I thank you. I thank your friendship, and well, I see that yes, unfortunately, this summer we could not materialize the meetings that I would have loved to have, but still we had a few there, and I mean, I enjoyed so much meeting with particularly Mikhail Gershowitz and Gina Garcia and Luke Walzer from CUNY, and Gina is from, well, where she's from Mexico, Connecticut, and California.
She's a gypsy. She's all over the place.
She's a rogue.
Exactly. I had so much fun, really. I'm so lucky. And we spent a couple of lunches, and we had what I call an interview with Mikhail and his staff at CUNY in a formal way. In fact, they taped it in a very professional way, and they gave me the tape, but I have still to comply with my promise that I would, in a way, post about it and post the video itself, which I haven't done yet. So we did also an interview at NYU's library with Gina and Mikhail, and I mean all the names. I think he's Thomas, if I'm not wrong.
Michael Branson Smith.
So,
Michael
sorry?
Branson Smith.
Oh, right, Michael, right, you're right. And we had such a great time there. So this is something that I decided to do some time ago. And as you know, I like to work with this technology and education stuff, as you do. And I've been studying the phenomena that are going on, and particularly why it's so difficult for the revolutionary power of the web and the new technologies to really come out and change things. And we have an enormous amount of inertia in the educational world, especially in higher education, where things don't seem to work well today. We may say that we have a huge crisis, and nothing gets really changed except in a few instances. For instance, what you and Jim are doing, a few other guys, and so the more I thought about it, the more I understood that we are full of these common lieux of these common ideas that persevere in time. For instance, and I call them the myths of teaching and learning. And I should add, of technology. For instance, we continue saying in common language that we deliver courses like they were hamburgers, and we actually I read in a major article, and I keep reading in the New York Times, in the Wall Street Journal, in major media. I keep reading sometimes that online students watch lectures while face-to-face people attend lectures. So I think that language shows us what really people believe around teaching, learning, technology, and so on. So I decided to study those phenomena a bit more deeply, and I applied for a scholarship at NYU, and I got it this summer. And I had the privilege to spend the full month of June in New York City, living, I mean, close to Union Square, which was a paradise for me. And I worked every day in the beautiful NYU library, and together with other people from many other places. So I really had a chance to reflect on these things. And so I began to write. First, I wanted to write a pamphlet or something, but then I realized that I am a bit afraid of saying so because it's a big commitment, but this is coming out as a book. So I think I'm writing this book on the myths of teaching and learning and what we can do about it. And in fact, the book took also a turn during my stay there, because one of the ideas I had about how I could really enjoy the fact of being in New York City was to begin interviewing people that I follow, people that I know of, and whose work I admire and whose positions I more or less agree on. So I began to interview people like Clay Shirky, like Mikhail, like Michael, like Gina, and I interviewed Catherine Fitzpatrick. I interviewed a lot of people who were really very, very nice doing that. Now I have in mind to continue those interviews. Here in Puerto Rico, I will interview people who are Puerto Rico based. So I will go interview Mario Nunez and other friends here. And then I'm going to interview, you don't know it yet, but you are part of my plan. So
We're on your list.
World domination.
There you go.
yeah, world domination, exactly. So, well, in fact, you already were, but since we couldn't do that in New York,
That's right.
we're going to do it online sometime soon. Um, but I had a big pause during the summer, during July. First, because I went with my daughters to have a small tour of universities in northeastern U.S., and then because I went to visit my mom in Italy. So I'm back working now, and I have to collect my stamina back, my energy again, and keep on writing and keep on thinking
Antonio,
about this.
can I ask you a question? What are some of the examples of the myths that you've, like, whether you talk to Kathleen Fitzpatrick, Clay Shirky, Mikhail, Gina, what are some of the myths that you can share with us briefly here so we can get a sense of what it is? And my second question after that is, why write a book?
Okay. Well, I think that Fitzpatrick put it in her interview very, very well. I mean, faculty, students, and are very confused. We all are very confused about the power of technology and the role of technology. We think sometimes that technology is a different thing So we tend to see technology as a separate thing while we live within technology. In fact, Kevin Kelly says that we are technology. Technology, in his opinion, is what defines us as humans. I don't know if that is 100% true, but still, it's a very important thing. And for instance, in this research, what came out was Marshall McLuhan positions in a very strong way. Not only we shape technology, but technology shapes us. So it's very difficult to say where one finish and when the other begin. But people think it is not true. So, for instance, one of the myths is everything is great, but you are going to use technology in a humanistic way, right? So, oh, sorry, I think I went in sleep mode.
You're
Okay.
fine.
So, so people are sort of afraid. No, in what sense I say in a humanistic way? Is technology not humanistic? Is not humane technology? Of course, it may be used in a non-humane way. We know that very well, but it's human. So I'm very afraid of those myths, and I begin with them. Another, so one, a few of the myths relate to technology and our relationship with technology, especially in teaching and learning. Also, one big myth that I found is that people tend to believe that we actually learn inside the classroom. So, and that's a big myth. I constantly have to tell my students, well, don't really expect that you're learning here. And it's I mean maddening to think how many people think that is true. So many that myth also uh, brings us to another one. So if you learn in one particular place, then you have uh, to be helped to learn by somebody. So you need an agent to have you learn. So and that's also a big problem. Another myth: the teacher as the agent who will have you learn, and so on and so forth. For instance, the fear of teachers. Can we be replaced by machines? And I think that somebody, probably was it Arthur Clarke, who said that if we can be replaced by machine, then we should be. Uh, I don't know. I think it's an irrelevant question. I mean, I can understand the fear. I'm not a suicidal person who want to lose his job, but I think this is a huge myth.
So,
So all these sort of myth among another one came out this summer when I don't remember his name now. One of the founders of PayPal founded that reverse scholarship for people not going into college.
Right.
And he said, well, look, and he found actually 20 youngsters, and he gave them money to found a startup instead of going to college. Well, that's a great idea. And so there is a huge discussion in the US now if college is actually worthwhile, if higher education is worthwhile, what is happening. And other myths are about the famous liberal arts concept. The liberal art concept, as you know, is a very ancient idea, and many people again equate liberal arts with the humanities, and the liberal arts actually include maths and science since they're Greek times. So I think that we have a lot of stuff going on.
So that
A lot
leads
of
me to a
perception.
question, Antonio.
Yeah.
If is the goal of your book then to dispel certain myths or to expound on them or to come to any resolution, especially like you mentioned in terms of is higher education worth it? Does it make more sense to drop out of school and start and fund your own startup and that kind of thing? Would you say that those are things that you're trying to resolve in your book, or are you more just trying to expound on them and figure out what's really going on?
Well, that's one of the things I'm trying to do. I don't know if I will actually succeed. I hope so. I don't pretend to get into any conclusion, firm conclusion, because this is all a matter which is very fluid now. But I hope to perhaps help us to see things in teaching, learning, and technology in not in a new way, but perhaps more calmly and more deeply. And then what I want to do is I want to show a few examples from many places in the world where people are doing extraordinary work to really change how things are done. So before, and this is the idea that came this summer, I have these myths section in the first part of the book. I grow this section through the interviews because people give me a lot of ideas and a lot of feedback on that. And then there's a second part which I'm building, which is basically what can we learn from those myths, and then what can we learn from examples. For instance, the work that Jim has been doing on storytelling. What does teach us? What does that teach us in terms of deconstructing, as Downs was putting it, deconstructing a course and putting into the students the power to develop themselves a narrative. And I'm other examples from both the academic and the non-academic work. We met this great woman, Dolores Rey from Barcelona, and she's a great also teacher. And she's one of the next I'll be interviewing too. And she provides us with examples in the way he develops her own enterprise to do the work she likes. So she gives us an example of what to do after college and on how to study and so on. And the work that Downs and Simmons are doing, the theory of connectivism, is having a deep effect. It doesn't matter actually if you think in the theory itself, but you can see examples of it being applied. So this is the book more or less. Myths, what is the reality of higher education? I hope I capture it well. And then what people are doing and what lessons are we learning from the myths and from these new very good examples of the use of technology. I don't like to call it the use of technology. I would like to say the way technology is immersed into course doing, and vice versa. Course doing is immersed into our own time and technology. So this is, I hope I can convey the right way. Today I'm speaking a very bad English, so I don't know, words tend to come out.
Oh, you're fine.
Way.
I do want to mention real quick to the people in the chat room, if anybody has questions for you, they can put them in the chat, and we'll definitely try to, get those answered or ask them to you or whatever.
And Jason Green mentioned a Chronicle article that I haven't read yet, but if online learning is everywhere, what's the next big thing? And I mean, relating that back to what you're saying, Antonio, one of the things that fascinates me is we have this kind of, like you said, this moment and the moment is still, and we have theories now that are kind of filling up some of that, whether it be connectivism, just imagining where we're going. One of the things that kind of strikes me is with these ideas and with this kind of notion, you're framing this kind of study as a book. And I'm wondering, how does the book itself as a format maybe be the best way to express that, or there are other ways, right? I mean, we talk about the classroom and that changing. What about, I think a lot of times I see this idea of the humanist, at least when it's married with technology, is often remediating the web for the ways we traditionally have thought of academia. So why a book?
Yeah, I think you're posing an essential question here. I have no idea. I tend to think about books because this is how I tend to write. So I tend to write in a more or less linear way, and but I'm aware, and in fact I plan to begin publishing as soon as I have something perhaps better configured. I plan to publish it online and begin having reaction from people. Fitzpatrick published her book in both ways, both a physical debt-free form and a virtual form that helped her get a lot of feedback and a lot of ideas from people. So I'm using the word book in a very fluid way here. I think I will begin with the online publishing, and then we'll see.
I mean,
What people will suggest also will be very important to me. And I'm learning in the process. For instance, I didn't know how to interview people before. So I started doing everybody the same question, and I immediately sort of soon realized that it didn't work that way. And for instance, Gina told me when we were inside the library, she was really bored of the interview process, and I mean, I can understand her, and she gave me a really great feedback and great ideas. So I mean, it's a fluid thing.
well, the other thing is
But you know,
the way you're going about your book.
On your idea, no, the book as an established format, which in this case maybe not the best way. One of the questions that I want to attend in the book is why is it so that we have such a powerful technology, which is the web and the new web, and we are not seeing the changes that it implies, that it has in itself? Why it is not that so? We're seeing changes only in little niches, and not because perhaps our institution have a degree of inertia so huge, like it happened with the printing press. I mean, that might be one of the reasons, and we as teachers are very conservative in our way in which we view the world.
Well,
so,
and let's not forget the web is only 20 years old, and the printing press is,
exactly,
so,
yeah.
I mean...
Yeah,
well, even, I mean, thinking about the work you've done with your book already, Antonio, I've followed your work with this on your blog, because it seemed to start out as a kind of blog project, and you blogged a whole series of early examples of it. So, I mean, I'm interested in that because it seemed like it was born out of another format, but then will be kind of a repository to something like a book or wherever. And I mean, I don't mean to complicate the idea of the book too much. I don't think, it's just one other way now to distribute it.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that I'm going to begin with the digital and online format to allow comments and discussion in it. So I'm sure of that. Then what other form it will take, we'll see. But I just need some more time during this semester to polish a little bit what I already did and continue. I mean, I wrote some 80 pages, 80 conventional pages during the month of June. And I think I need something more to do that. However, the title of the book is coming out very beautifully. You want to know what is
Yes.
We do.
it? It's very modestly called Zen of Teaching.
I love it.
Awesome.
The Zen of Teaching.
Thanks.
It's like Alan Levine recently did the Zen of Motorcycle Maintenance, right? Or
Yes,
something like that, some twist on that. Well, that's awesome,
Is
Antonio.
it true Alan is coming there?
He'll be here next week. Or I don't know, actually.
Oh.
His schedule's not totally right, but he'll be here this month.
Oh, great.
So we look forward to that.
Well, Antonio, it's been really exciting to get to talk to you. For people who want to follow along, should they go to your blog, or do you have a separate website for the book yet, or where should they go to follow along with your progress?
That's a very good question. Well, my blog is for the time being the only place where you can get some sense of it. And my blog is Skate of the Web. You can search it on Google. The URL for the moment is too complex, so I won't give it to you. But Skate of the Web, or actually blogs.netedu.info. That's the address. But I bought a couple of domains, and the idea of the online format is, I mean, it's taking form slowly. So I bought the domain zenofteaching.us. So I copied the idea from the S106.us, and I put it there in place.
Good.
So we'll see, but you won't find anything at the moment there. So it's just in progress.
Well, this is really exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out, watching as you build it out on the web and that kind of thing, and really looking to see your take on this whole thing. I think it's a really hot topic that people are interested in.
No, and I like the whole idea of these myths have to be examined in some way.
Yeah.
And who better to do it than the great Antonio Vantaggiato.
There you go. So, Antonio, thank you again for joining us and talking with us. And Skate of the Web, Google it so to find the exact address. We'll put it in the show notes.
And look
for
for
today.
some Woody Allen posts there too.
And thanks again for talking with us, Antonio.
Thanks, Antonio.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Have a good time.
You too.
And thank you for watching DTLT today. This is another episode in the wraps, and we'll see you all again tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you.